Episode 37, Divorce Contract. Jake looked at her forced strength and was slightly touched. However, when he saw the paperwork in her hand, his eyes were narrowed. "What is that?" Serena noticed his gaze and subconsciously wanted to hide it. However, she quickly paused and felt her palms sweating and her heart racing. She was incredibly nervous. Jake did not have the best temper. If she told him everything, he would probably lose it. Would he strangle her? However, she needed this document to protect herself. Otherwise, she would be scared to death if the incident today repeated itself. Thinking again, Serena still presented the contract and said, "I think we need to talk." Glancing at his almost perfect body, she stood up and said, "You put something on first. I will wait for you in the living room." Before Jake said anything, Serena had fled. Seeing her running away, Jake felt a bit amused. With a better mood, he changed into pajamas and walked downstairs. The moment Jake saw her, he noticed how uneasy she was. She immediately stood up when seeing him. Jake's look became softer. Why was this woman so faint-hearted? Thinking of the way she had been looking at him since they got married, he felt she was always frightened. Although he had no idea why she would be afraid of him, the fear was 100% real. Such a woman, and he almost believed that she would cheat on him. Regretting being so rough with her, Jake said in a gentle voice, "What is it?" Serena heard his voice and looked at him in a cowardly way. She found that he was in a much better mood than a while ago. Swallowing, she sat down and handed him the pen she had prepared. Jake looked at the documents, saw the title, and paused for a second. Serena immediately noticed that he looked even more dangerous at this point. He was not showing much on his face, but the temperature around him immediately dropped. Almost unable to breathe, Serena stuttered, "I think we are not a great fit." "So, you want a divorce?" Jake's voice was low, with emotions hidden. Serena's heart was almost in her throat. Facing his cold eyes, she was so frightened. However, she still nodded and whispered, "I know that you hate me. However, there is no way you can disobey the wish of your grandpa. So, I'd rather wait a year before we have the divorce. At that time, we could just say that I cannot get pregnant and make it look natural. At that time, Grandpa would have no reason to blame you." "You have thought it through." Jake's voice was still low. Serena could not tell what he was thinking. It was as if he was a machine. Serena braced herself to nod and looked up with incredible strength in her eyes. "Yes." Jake's cold gaze was cast upon Serena again. He walked up, took the contract in his hands, and read it over. His eyes became darker and darker as he read. It was stamped by the best lawyer in Austin, Daniel Brown. His law firm was the absolute best in Austin. Even with the connections of the Clark family, she would have to wait for a week to get an appointment with Daniel Brown. However, there was no way that the Clark family would let her get a divorce with him. Therefore, this had to be Serena's own idea. Without any connection, she must have waited for at least half a month to get the stamp. That meant Serena had been planning this divorce contract all along. Since that was the case, why had she married him? Jake suddenly became curious about what she was thinking. Gazing at her signature at the end of the contract, he pondered and looked away. As he glared at her, She suddenly fretted and bowed her head helplessly, like a deer. Although Jake did not have the best temper, he was smart enough to know that a marriage could not be forced. He immediately took the pen in her hand, signed the contract, and left. Serena froze, looking at him going up the stairs, as if she was in a dream. He signed it. She looked down and saw his beautiful signature. Jake. Staring at his name, Serena felt empty in her heart. Obviously, she wanted him to sign. However, when seeing his signature, she felt incredibly at a loss. He did not care at all. He was rough with her not because he cared about her, but because he cared about himself. Indeed. 11:30 p.m. Charm Club. A tall man was lying on the sofa, his burgundy jacket slightly open, exposing a lipstick stain on the collar of his shirt. Two women in revealing outfits were sitting on his side, trying to please him. Enjoying the treatment from the beauties, Jackson was holding a wine glass with his long fingers, watching the liquid flowing. With an evil smile, he asked, "For real?" Sitting across him, Jake was occupying a large sofa himself. The chandelier cast a light spot on Jake's face, making his gorgeous features look even more striking. All the women present were obsessed. How handsome! It was rare that they had an opportunity to see this face. Jake nodded and stayed calm, accustomed to the glances thrown at him. What shall we do? The famous Jake was divorced. How shocking! Although Jackson said that, it seemed that he could not be happier. Glancing at him, Jake took a sip from his cocktail and taunted, "Did your woman run away again?" His smile disappearing, Jackson gritted his teeth and said, "Can't you wish me anything good?" "So, it seems that I have guessed correctly.